played lots of sports growing up, and baseball and basketball, and I swam competitively. And
That's 6'5", 300 pounds. You swim?
Yeah, I got too big for the Speedo, is what I like to say.
Whoa! I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah. I was at OTAs. I remember my first practice, I got in a fight. Probably got concussed. It was a big defensive lineman, a big cast on. And I was, I didn't want to get punked and back down, and went at him. Basically, I think it was a decent fight, but probably didn't get the better end of it. And I remember that as one of the first practices in OTAs, fist fight with a veteran D lineman. Probably not the best move.
Hey, welcome back to another rep. My name is Steve Hagen. I love this show. I love it because everybody gets to tell their story, and you get to hear their story. And today is no different. So thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, tell your people, and let's go get another rep. Let's go!
Paul Zukauskas, my man. It's been, we were just talking earlier. Welcome to another rep, first of all. Really
Thanks,
appreciate you coming on. And it's been about 18 years since we were together, but it feels like yesterday. You look the same. A little bit grayer in your beard.
A little gray. I get the gray in the beard. Yeah.
But the NFL maybe turned that gray.
That's right. No doubt. I know.
Tell everybody your college story and your draft story, and we'll kind of get through that. Paul, I was coaching at the Browns when Paul was playing O-line at the Browns, but let's wind this back and tell everybody where you played college football, who you played with, and then how you felt about being drafted and all that crazy stuff that goes on.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for having me. And I remember those days fondly, and I always appreciated you as a coach. You were my position coach, and probably people that listen realize you don't spend a lot of time with your position coach, but you're always somebody I thought of very fondly. So
yeah,
I'm glad to be on. But I grew up in the Boston area. It's not really a hotbed of football, even though people are big New England Patriots fans, but it's
not Florida or Alabama.
It's not Florida and Alabama and Ohio. You certainly go in Ohio.
Yeah, right.
In Ohio and seeing what that was like. But I, played lots of sports growing up, and baseball and basketball, and I swam competitively. And
that's 6'5", 300 pounds. You swam?
Yeah, I got too big for the Speedo, is what I like to say.
Whoa! I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, and so yeah, just
that's funny. I don't care who you are.
But I fell in love with football in high school. And then was fortunate enough I went to a boys Catholic high school here in Boston. It's actually called Boston College High School, referred to as BC High. It's 1,200 boys, big high school in the Boston area. And then fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Boston College as a 4-year. Didn't redshirt, so I was young. I remember playing, just turning basically 18. I was 17, graduating high school, turning 18, and then playing at the time in the Big East. And then played 4 years at BC. I didn't redshirt, so I was really young going to the NFL too. I was drafted at 21.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the best when you're a lineman. But I was fortunate enough, in 2001, I was the 7th round pick, the 201st pick in the 7th round.
So how nerve-wracking was that? And did you have an agent who says, "Oh, you're going to get drafted in the 3rd round, or you're going to get the?"
Yeah, absolutely. Unless there's kind of that old saying, unless you're the first pick, you're disappointed. Like everybody thinks they're going a little higher than they usually are. I was certainly in that case where I was thinking I would go higher. I got kind of wind of it. Like I remember, like the Friday night before the draft, another agent that I had been talking to was like, I think he was talking to my mom, and he's like, "What do you think where Paul's going to go?" And I think she might have said like 3rd or 4th round. And he's like, let Paul know he's probably going to go a little later. And I was like, "Oh no!" And then it was a long weekend.
Oh man.
And looking back on it now, I'm like, I should have been so excited and thrilled to be part of the NFL. And 7th round. Pick. I remember the call. I was in my basement. My my grandmother lived in the basement, and I was in her in-law apartment, and
Yeah.
I got the call. It was Butch Davis, and who's the one, the Jerry Ross, was it Jerry Rossberg? Or?
Well, he was our special teams coach, and
so he called me because he was at Boston College as a defensive backs coach.
There you go. That's right.
So he was on the phone. It's Jerry, Coach Rossberg, was, great guy. And so I talked to both of them, and I didn't, 2 days later, I was out for a mini camp in Cleveland.
You're like, what the what? And I'm just hanging up the phone, and you're on the plane going to a mini camp.
That's right. And I was right after the mini camp was the end of my senior year at Boston College. I was graduating that spring. So I was, kind of flying back and forth.
Drafted in April, mini camp the next weekend.
That's right.
And then you got to go back and graduate, make sure you're in shape, because you got to come back to OTAs.
I was at OTAs. I remember my first practice, I got in a fight. I probably got concussed. It was a big defensive lineman, a big cast on. And I was, I didn't want to get punked and back down, and went at him. Basically, I think it was a decent fight, but probably didn't get the better end of it. And I remember that as one of the first practices in OTAs, a fist fight with a veteran D lineman, probably not the best move. But then I went through OTAs. I remember being at the rookie symposium in 2001, and I had like a lump on my throat and a sore throat, and I ended up with mono. So like leading into training camp, I lost 25 pounds, and it was kind of like, what do you want to do? There's a chance I could go on PUP, be on PUP, and I was like, I was feeling better right before camp, but I was still lost like a lot of weight.
Oh yeah.
And I went into camp, and I think I did okay, enough for like them to keep me around.
Yeah.
But ended up on the practice squad for the first probably half of the season.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
They cut you, and then they're like, we'll bring you back on the practice squad. But there's some time in there where you're like, oh, what the heck is going on here?
I remember they did a really good job of kind of internally recruiting me, because then I had other options.
That's right.
To go to other teams. One of them was New England, I think. And that was
the
first year at the Super Bowl.
Where were you hoping?
Yeah, right. I probably hoped. But it was a similar deal, and I liked everybody there, and I liked all the all my teammates, and all the coaches were fantastic, and so I was, I think looking back on it, it's more of just like, you want to make the team, you don't want to say, the practice squad. They kind of feel like people are like, oh, practice squad. They think anybody can be on a practice squad, and like,
yeah, right.
So I was probably more embarrassed than I was like worried that I wasn't going to have a job. But was on the practice squad for at least half the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember getting a call from Bruce Arians, called me to say I made, they were releasing somebody, and I was making the team later on that first season, and was finally on the active roster. And then I was there for four total seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy to make an NFL team. I don't care if you're on the practice squad or you're on the active roster. Tell people how that feels and how difficult that is.
It is really, especially now. I think when you're in it, you don't realize how tough it is. Almost like you're just playing. You're just, everything's right in front of you. It's such a scheduled, routined, sport. Certainly in professional sports, you kind of just exactly what's going to happen at any point. So you don't really have time.
Get to the NFL. Then you don't know what's going to happen ever.
That's true. That's true. And but there's we were kind of talking about, there's a huge leap from college to the NFL.
Let's talk about that. What's the difference? Because everybody in college goes, oh, I can't wait to get paid. I'm going to the league. What's the biggest difference between college and the NFL as far in your mind?
It's certainly the speed. I always compare it to like going to high school to college is a massive leap, and it's a lot faster, and it's equal to that going to the NFL. It's just like going from high school to college, where it's like, whoa, this is a different level.
College. Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
This is Butch calling me.
Oh, no way.
But hey, I'm doing a podcast right now with Paul Zukauskas. So can I call you right back? We were just talking about how he's so grateful and so thankful that you gave him a call and drafted him in the 201st pick in the 7th round. It's so fun. So yeah, I'll tell him hi for you. I'll call you right back. All right, bye. That's classic. Hey, so I'm sorry I interrupted you, but man, it's hard, isn't it?
It was really hard, and I think for some of the players too, like this, like the scheme and like the detail that goes into it, the plays, and it's it really is like moving up from addition, subtraction, division, and then multiplication, and then all of a sudden you're algebra, and then this keeps advancing.
Yeah, you're doing trigonometry, but you're on the run.
You're on the run. Yeah,
somebody's chasing you, or you're going to get hit by them.
That's right. For me, I always felt comfortable with the playbook and understanding what I needed to do. It was the size and the speed. It was the athleticism that I was on the lower end of in that league. But what you find too is just how there's a size and the speed, and not like maybe from certainly the guys that can bench 225 35 times and run the 4.340s and all those guys, but they're just like amazing football players, guys that are just great at football and see things faster and are better. They might not be the fastest or the strongest, but they're football fast and they're incredible players.
I love what you just said. They see things faster.
Yeah.
Because you see this, you started a business, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But when you hire people, or when you're working with people in your business, not football, your business, there's certain people that see things faster or get it faster. And they're just,
no doubt about it,
in that realm, that game, they're ballers. Like, and you want them on your team, but.
And it's talent. Yeah, it's a combination of either lots of talent or lots of experience. And
yeah, and pretty soon it gets to be like, okay, so some guys have experience way out the roof, but they have their talent has diminished. Where when they first get in the league, they got talent but zero experience, and then it starts to work its way out. Let me ask you about this. So just the hardest thing about playing and staying in the NFL, what do you think that is? Because we talked about the difference of college and the NFL is speed and intelligence and all that. What's the hardest thing about staying in the NFL?
It is, there's the injury side, the real physical side of the NFL. It is a lot more difficult just playing through lots of pain, right? The only time you'll feel good is right the day before training camp. And then you're playing the whole season.
And we tell you that this is the last day you're going to feel good.
That's right. You're going to have a broken finger, torn this, or twisted. Yeah, you're going to have something physically, and I think that's for a lot of NFL players. They can live with that. It's the mental side of it, the stress of the job, and you have to have a real tough stomach for it to kind of live on your living, especially certainly my position too, in particular, where I was never guaranteed anything in terms of making a team. Like training camp, I had to make a team. Like I wasn't, there's 15 guys on the team, like those guys are. Then another 15, you're pretty sure that those guys will be too. The 30 guys, and then the last group, you're in it with a bunch of guys. So you gotta kind of.
I think what you said, not to interrupt you, but the stress of getting an injury. Because you see some guys get injured and they're done. And the stress for rehabbing that injury, whatever it is, we can play with a broken finger. You can do that. You can't play with a broken tibia or some of the strained MCLs, some guys play with them, some guys don't. And it's stressful. And, you don't want to be in that training room rehabbing all the time when the team is out there practicing. Because then it's like,
you can't. It's the quote: you can't make the club in the tub. Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you're,
and if you can't make the club, you can't pay the rent.
no,
In
and
college, there is no rent to pay because you're just
yeah,
back at the dorm or back, you know, they give you the money regardless of whether you stay in the training room or not. So
yeah, you're in your, depending on the injury, sometimes you're better off just not telling anybody about it. And, you know, I went through that, you know, in college coming out, I had, you know, some injuries, but I was playing in the East West Shrine game, and I don't know what I did to my shoulder, but it was bad. I couldn't like lift my arm up and something there. And then at the combine, I was like, I'm not talking about this at all. Even though I had a bench and I had to do things with my shoulder, I'm like, I can't have, like, I had a knee injury, maybe that was a concern, and a concussion that I was out for a game with. And
yeah,
so I'm like, I can't build up this injury resume. So I'm going to keep that one to myself. And, you know, there's some of those things too, where you know, you want to get treatment and you want to be professional about it. I think there is a level of like professionalism and like how you treat your injury. But you also don't want to be the injured guy missing. Just, you don't want to miss practice, you know, whatever that is, don't miss time especially for a guy, you know, 7th round lineman that's a guard. You know, there's plenty of them, you know, there's enough of them making fun of another one, so you have that in the back of your mind.
it calluses you up.
It does, yeah.
It calluses you up physically because your pain tolerance you'll either not level up to your pain tolerance, or you will really level up. If you don't, you're out. If you do, you continue to go because you learn how to rehab and you learn how to push.
You do, yeah.
And then that's noticeable because everybody's like, whoa, this dude is tough. He's playing with a broken finger, a poked in eye, a jacked up back. I mean, he just keeps going. And
yeah,
and you become a valuable player to the
yeah,
team.
because and you know, as a coach, you know, that you value that certainty of knowing that the player will be out there and you can count on them. And then all of a sudden, if is this guy playing this week? Like, you'd rather, you know, sometimes you'd almost rather another guy that you know will be playing than somebody a little bit more talented that it's week to week of whether they're going to be out there. Because you're like, I spent all my time with this one guy and he's not playing in the game. And then, you know, I'd rather be working with somebody I know is going to be out there every week.
Yeah. You remember Aaron Shea?
Yeah. Oh, Aaron. Yeah. I still. Yeah.
I love Shea balls, man. I've done one of these with him too. And we were playing Pittsburgh and he got in a fight with Joey Porter.
Oh, I remember that.
And he fractured his finger because it got caught in Joey's face mask, and it was a big wrestling match, and he snapped his finger. And he's like, coach, and he comes over, his finger's like pointing west. And I was like, trainer, you know, help this dude out. So then, you know, we cut the glove off. It's a compound fracture. It's nasty. And I said, what's going on, man? You all right? He's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm all right. It don't look all right. I didn't say that. I just was looking at it. I'm like, that don't look all right.
No.
And
yeah, my kids
are at halftime, because this has happened, you know, before, and we go in at halftime and I don't see him, you know, because I always go around and talk to you guys and everything. I'll see Shea and I'm like, okay, he's in the training room. So Butch grabs me and he goes, hey, is Shea gonna play? Is he gonna finish the second half? I'm like, I'm pretty much sure, but I'm gonna go ask him right now. And I knew. And so I go in, I go, hey, Shea balls, man, you feeling all right? He's like, no, hell no, I ain't feeling good. I said, you gonna finish? He goes, shit, yeah, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. He's holding his finger and it's all, you know, it's all sewed together and everything. And I'm like, it's on you, man. And so I go back out and I tell Butch, I said, he's going to play. Because, you know, we need to know, is he going to be on all the special?
He played there.
Special teams. He was, you know, that dude was a warrior. And so I said, he's going to play. So we go. And it was like you know, we get the ball first to start the second half. And Couch throws him a pass over the middle. And Palomalo just splatters him, and Shea gets up and he spikes the ball and he comes over, you know, he doesn't ask if he can get out. It's a first down and all. Yeah. And he just kind of taps his helmet and he walks towards the sidelines. I'm like, I think you're in. He's like, no, hell no. He's throwing the ball. He's like, I can't even catch.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, man, you are a tough sucker.
Yeah, he is a tough sucker. Yeah.
But that's a long story to just emphasize how tough y'all are players. You know, you just get that mindset of that lion, and you just go and you go and you go.
You do. And you're right. You get used to it and you learn how to live with it. And my kids are always, I don't know if you can see my pinky, I have that bent pinky still. They love it. They're always like, let me show me the pinky. Like, you really can't move it. I'm like, no. And that was, it happened in a practice, and I finished the practice, and it could never heal because it was
it's just locked up.
And it was just healed that way, so.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Hey man, let's transition to what you're doing now. Well, let's do this before you did that. Before what you're doing now, you got into coaching. So you got a little sense of what that's all about. Tell me what that's all about.
Yeah, I was a graduate assistant in 2000. So I was done playing. I went into I was in technology sales, working at a large technology company, and definitely not what I wanted to do. And glad I did it, but went back into coaching. I was a graduate assistant at Boston College, and as mentioned, I played offensive line, but I was on the defensive side. So I was working with the linebackers, and that was a lot of hard work. I mean, at GA, you're just watching film and breaking down film. So, I think as a player, you think you kind of understand the game, and you do from your position, and then seeing it from that lens, you really learn a lot more about football. There's some great coaches at BC, defensive coaches. And so learned a lot. A couple of great linebackers, Luke Kuechly and Mark Herzlich, were in that linebacking group. And
you made them great.
I did not. I absolutely had nothing to do with it.
No, but it was something to do with it because you got all that film and everything ready. But
that's right. But it was super fun. And then, I was coming out and I was, getting some interviews and, had a couple opportunities, but there was a local high school that was under sanction. They had like this, private high school that was, long story, but there was something that they were doing with like, the aid and the scholarships and so they were under sanction, and they had been historically pretty good. So I was like, oh, I could be the head coach at this high school, kind of rebuild it. And we did, and we won 4 New England 4 league titles and
let's go.
And it was a lot of fun. And one of my players is a running back for the Packers now, AJ Dillon.
Wow.
So we had a lot of success, and then so I was coaching, and then kind of how I got into what I do now is, coach with part of coaching is you watch a lot of video, you will watch a lot of film.
Yeah.
And had used a lot of different videos.
Was that hard for you to just say, you know what, I'm done coaching right here, or was it just time where you just like, you know what, I got to do something different?
Yeah. I don't think it wasn't hard. It was a right decision. I wasn't like, oh, I couldn't picture myself doing it for the rest of my life. That was one thing. Like, I loved coaching, but I was also working at the school, and, and just couldn't imagine myself doing that for the rest of my career.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And also knowing, I talked to guys like you, guys that have coached a long time, and it wasn't like, you talk to lots of coaches and they're like, no, you gotta stay in it. Like, this is the best job in the world. A lot of them were like, it's not that great, and it was a lot of like, and I took it to heart, it was, I didn't see myself moving around a lot, and, leaving, picking up in January after getting fired and leaving the family behind and going off. So I kind of had that in my mind when I had some opportunities to do other, kind of move up into college, or there was a couple NFL type of opportunities, entry level type of jobs. But it was like, I don't see it. I don't see it for my life.
Yeah, no, hey, it's a commitment. It's hard. It can be very hard on families, because you're moving around and all that. But so really, it's like God had you as a player, and then He had you as a coach, and when you were coaching, you were breaking down all that film, and that got you into what you're doing today.
100%. And
yeah, so let's tell everybody what you're doing today, because I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So my company is We Played Sports. We automate highlights, create new highlight packages for colleges, conferences, other sports organizations to distribute that video. The market really is short form video, live viewership and in-game attendance struggle.
Yeah.
But sports consumption is through the roof. It's just done through different formats, and it's really through this lens of what we call moments. And that's what we call these clips of video that have lots of data and lots of time and energy that go behind those plays. That 6-second play took a lot of years and talent to develop from a coaching standpoint, from a player's perspective. And how do we bring that to life and bring it to market and create more of it for not just the touchdown, but also these other great plays that happen within a game.
Yeah.
We do it for men's and women's sports and colleges too. It's part of our mission is to create, athletes are athletes. Everybody works really hard at it. They want to have their moment, be showcased or have access to it or have fans want to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we create that opportunity for that video, working directly with a college or a conference that would be the rights holder of that content. And then we can help distribute it and get it out there, create it for them easier and efficiently than ever before. So it's been great. And, it's been 4 years, I think.
So you founded the company, right?
I did.
Were you with anybody else, or were you just like, you know what, I got this idea. How do I bring this idea to life? It was a partner that you played with or coached with, or it was just like you're sitting around and you just told your wife, hey, I got this idea, and she said, let's go.
Yeah, and it's a great point too about how supportive my wife has been. And it's like a coach's wife. You'll go months without pay, and you'll kind of live on the edge.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
They get calloused up too, right?
Yeah, and what you do is directly reflected in what you're producing. And so there's not a lot of luck involved. There's breaks you can get, and there's no doubt about it. But yeah, it was really a concept I had, and thankfully, Boston's a really rich technology area. So, found some people that were great with the, in technology, and found some other people that had more experience on the business side of it, and kind of pulled together a team just like you would as a coach. And trying to execute, whether it's very specific type of features and functions or business opportunities, or just like trying to create a vision and keeping the team together kind of through the ups and downs of a startup. Yeah.
So how many people are on your team?
So we have 9 now. Okay. And hopefully
you're the head coach.
Yeah. I
had a coordinator over technology or software, and a coordinator over marketing and all that.
That's right. I hired a CEO, a really talented guy that I got to know. So I'm probably a player coach is probably the better way to describe me. If he tells me what to do, I'll do it. And but we have a fabulous relationship in terms of we really lead together and coach together. And he's had a lot of experience in this world. So we have a great relationship in terms of he listens to me, and I certainly if there's something he needs me to do or thinks we should do, I'll default to the experience. But we have a great
it's awesome. You've been doing it 4 years, right? I'm sure if I asked you, what'd you learn, we could go on for 4 hours probably. But where do you want to take it? What's the vision for 4 years in the future, or 14 years in the future?
The vision is any great moment in sports goes through We Played, and we treat it with care, and we add additional information to it so it can be recommended or searched for or found or watched by somebody across lots of different channels and social media platforms. People that love sports can get access to these moments quickly. So that really the vision is any great moment in sports comes through We Played, and it's at the end of the day is for the fan, and we're treating that with a lot of care and respect. And it really is for the fans and the athletes is how we look at it, even though we sell the product to the schools and the conferences or any other sports organization interested in it.
To me, that's like a virtual trophy case. I was just thinking that when you said that, because when I played, it was 16 millimeter film or something like that, and you couldn't even do that. You could digitize it now, but to have that of my kids, I would just love that. The whole it's like a virtual trophy case for them.
It is a lot like that. And
trophy case, I guess.
Yeah. And the technology is really cool too. So it's some cutting edge technology, and we bring games on live. And so those moments that just happen can be produced from replay right away and can be distributed, or, 25 years later, you're at the Hall of Fame dinner, or the team gets back together. The video is still available and easily accessed in the same sort of way it would be right after it happened.
It's so cool. So you go to the NFL, I mean, it feels like a blip, right? I mean, how long did you play in the NFL?
Yeah, it's 5 years, 4 in Cleveland. My last years with the 49ers, and I didn't play at all. I was hurt, and we were talking about it. I wasn't making the Pro Bowl anytime soon, so it wasn't, big demand out there. So, but it, certainly still one of the most memorable experiences. It's as fast as it happened. Like, I remember so much about it, and I think when you're done playing, you kind of have like this maybe resentment. And now that I'm older, I'm so appreciative of like that opportunity and all the people that I met, and so thankful. And it still, pays off to this day being a part of that club. People hear it.
How few people are part of that fraternity. It's rare. You can always say, hey, I got drafted and played in the NFL for 5 years. You have that trophy with you for the rest of your life. Your kids love it. You got evidence of a jacked up.
That's right. Yeah.
You got it all, man. So, hey, I'm going to bring this to a close. And I always ask, the show's called Another Rep with Coach Hagen. You've been repping something for your whole life.
Yeah.
What does another rep mean to you?
When you said that, the first word that comes to mind is perseverance. Where you're trying to get out another rep, is how I think of it. Is, you do a set of 8 and let's do another rep to get to 9. And I think that's really been a part of my life, is that perseverance, and just might not go your way and you try to get another rep in, and things tend to work out over time if you keep that persistence towards it, and have the perseverance to do it. So that's what when you say that, that's what I think of.
If I put it in the context of your business now, if We Played Sports, another rep, what do you think?
It's all, more customers.
There you go.
Yeah. It really is. It's never settling for good. You're always trying to be great. And, but knowing what is today is not what it'll be tomorrow. And you have to have that vision and that, that perseverance to keep going, to keep improving on it, and not just settle on anything or think anything's good or bad. Just keep working at it. And, not everything's going to always pay off, but good things usually happen, whether, they're incredibly good or not is another question. But, if you have the mindset that things don't happen overnight, nothing's given to you, but you just keep working at it, there's opportunity out there.
Absolutely. You've been blessed by having an opportunity to just be who you are. You're a great dude. And then play college football at the highest level, and then go to the next level, playing in the NFL, and then getting married and having 3 beautiful children. I mean, you're blessed beyond measure. And sometimes life is so fast we don't realize it. But
it's true. I am blessed and thankful and appreciative of a lot of opportunity. Appreciative that you've called me and got to reconnect to us. This is I'm in Boston, so nice Thursday afternoon, catching up with an old friend and reliving some memories. This is great.
Man, thanks, I love having you on, Paul. This is just awesome catching up. You look great. I always had that youthful look, and just, it's just so fun reconnecting with guys. So I love it. So appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Really appreciate it.
Paul, thanks so much for coming on Another Rep. I love reconnecting with you. I love hearing your story. I was a little bit of that story, just a tiny bit of that story, but I loved it. I love every second of it. Hey, if you like this show, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your people, and let's just keep repping. Paul, you keep repping, I'll keep repping. I am out.